Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. So yeah, in this video I'm just going to show off everything that I've picked up in August 2023, all the Blu-rays and DVDs and whatnot. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. So for anyone who follows the channel, you might have noticed that I didn't do a pickups video in July, and the reason why I didn't was simply because I just didn't really pick up enough in that month, and I didn't really see the point in doing a video just to show off such a small amount of items. I only actually picked up 3 items in July, but what I'll do is I will show them in this video. I'll just combine them together. So yeah, I'll just show you what I picked up in July first. So first up from my July pickups, we have the Bruce Lee Arrow Video 4K box set. Yeah, I think this was a very, very popular release in July. I know a lot of people picked this up, and I know a lot of people have been singing their praises about it, and yeah, I can only say the same. This is just an amazing box set. It was great revisiting the movies. I'm a massive fan of Bruce Lee. And I pretty much spent most of July just going through this box set and just checking out all the stuff, like rewatching the movies, watching the special features, just immersing myself in everything in this box set, because I felt like I owed it to myself, just considering the amount of work that Arrow Video have put into this box set. And yeah, I've been collecting Arrow Video for a long time, and this might be a contender for one of their best ever releases. It's just an amazing set, and very glad to have it in the collection. But yeah, that is the Bruce Lee Arrow Video 4K box set. Next up from my July pickups, we have Magic Cop, released by 88 Films. And this is a movie that came out in 1990, I want to say. And it's basically like an action, comedy, horror movie. A lot of fun, very, very low budget and cheap looking, but has a lot of charm to it. It kind of felt a little bit like Lethal Weapon and The Evil Dead kind of together in one movie. The ending in particular is very, very Evil Dead, all the way down to like, you know, the makeup effects and like the special effects they used. It's all kind of cheap looking, but like I said, it has this low budget charm to it. And the movie was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it if you like sort of your wacky, wild Hong Kong action comedies. But yeah, I enjoyed it. That is Magic Cop. And the last thing that I picked up from July is a new release from Eureka, and it is Rich and Famous and Tragic Hero. This is a 2-part action gangster movie from Hong Kong. Kind of similar to something like The Godfather, maybe not as sophisticated in terms of the writing and the script, but a similar kind of vibe to it. You know, the second movie follows on straight away from the first movie. And yeah, I really enjoyed them. The first movie is definitely more about setting up the characters and the plot, but the second movie definitely has a lot more action in it. And yeah, I really enjoyed them. And yeah, I mean, again, if you like your Hong Kong action, thrillers, gangster movies, definitely check it out. This is Rich and Famous and Tragic Hero. Right, so on to my August pickups now, and I've just got a couple of DVDs to show first. The first one I have here is a movie that I picked up from CEX for £1. It's a movie I'd never heard of before, and it's a political thriller from the 1990s starring Wesley Snipes and Diane Lane, and it is Murder at 1600. And yeah, I actually quite enjoyed this film. Very underrated political thriller. It's basically about this murder that happens at the White House. And Wesley Snipes is kind of the police officer in charge with investigating it. And the more he goes into investigating it, the more he discovers that there might be some corruption within the White House. I think it came out the same year as Absolute Power, starring Clint Eastwood, and the two films kind of went head to head. But because of Clint Eastwood and, you know, his clout and his star power, I think his film kind of, you know, was the one that succeeded, and this was the one that bombed at the box office. But I really enjoyed it. It's a really solid movie, great 1990s thriller. If you like those sorts of films, definitely check it out. That is Murder at 1600. And then the other DVD that I picked up is a TV miniseries that came out in the 2000s, and it is Nightmares and Dreamscapes, short stories from Stephen King. And yeah, this is just a collection of 8 episodes. All of the episodes are based on short stories from Stephen King. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and I'll watch anything that his name is attached to. but I'd just never gotten round to seeing this, and yeah, I enjoyed it. Some of the episodes were better than others, but overall it was pretty decent. So yeah, if you like your sort of horror anthology series, definitely check it out. That is Nightmares and Dreamscapes. Right, so onto my Blu-ray pickups from August now, and these first few pickups, I have already shown them in a previous video, but I'll just quickly show them again. I picked up quite a few movies from Amazon Germany. Most of them were upgrades from DVDs, but like I said, I have already showed them in a previous video, so if you want to check that video out, I'll leave it in the description below. But first of all, we have Black Rain, starring Michael Douglas and Andy Garcia. And yeah, this was a movie I had on DVD for a long time, and I'd always wanted to revisit it. I remember the first time I watched it, I didn't really like it. I just couldn't get on board with it. But after rewatching it, it's definitely grown in my estimations. I had a great time revisiting this film. It might be Ridley Scott's best looking movie in terms of cinematography, and it's probably the closest Ridley Scott has gone to making a film that looks like it's directed by his brother, Tony Scott. It just has a very similar kind of style and look to it. But yeah, it was a great movie. So glad to have revisited it, because like I said, I just didn't like it the first time I watched it. But yeah, that is Black Rain. Next up, we have In the Mouth of Madness, the classic John Carpenter movie from the 1990s. And yeah, this is a movie that I just can't believe it's taken me this long to actually get it on Blu-ray. Because I've seen this film many times and I absolutely love it. It's very underrated, kind of weird, but it has a great ending. And yeah, it's just a crazy movie from start to finish. Great performance from Sam Neill in this one. And yeah, glad to finally have it in the collection. But that is John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. Next up, we have Over the Top, starring Sylvester Stallone. This is one of his films that came out in the 1980s. Probably one of his lesser-known films. I think I've said this before, but it's basically just like the arm wrestling version of Rocky, but there's also this plot of him trying to kind of make amends with his son, who he hasn't seen for quite a while. And I've always enjoyed this movie. I've always had a great time with it. It's very cheesy, very silly, very, excuse the pun, but it's very over the top in places. But yeah, I just really enjoy it, and I can't say much more than that. It's just good, cheesy 80s fun. And yeah, I just have a good time with it. But that is Over the Top. Next up from Amazon Germany, we have Pacific Heights. Again, this is another movie that I've just been desperate for it to get a Blu-ray release. And I just kind of caved and decided to go with the one from Amazon Germany. I've been a huge fan of this film for a long time, and I know a lot of other people in the community equally love this film. It's just a great sort of like home invasion movie with a really awesome performance from Michael Keaton as the villain. He always seems to play a great villain. I know a lot of people probably know him best for Batman and things like that, but he always made a great villain for me, and yeah, he's fantastic in this one. But yeah, that is Pacific Heights. Next up, we have Rush. This is a kind of a police thriller starring Jason Patric and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and it's based on a true story about this these two police officers who have to go undercover in the sort of the drug underworld, and they have to start dealing drugs, taking drugs in order to maintain their cover. But as the film goes on, it starts to affect their lives, as you can imagine. It affects their careers, their personal lives, not to mention their health. And yeah, it's just a fantastic thriller from the early 90s that doesn't really get talked about much. But yeah, another movie that I'm very glad to own on Blu-ray. But that is Rush. And then the last pickup that I got from Amazon Germany was the Rush Hour trilogy. Yeah, these movies, I just have a blast with them. I can remember watching the first two back when they first came out, and I just loved them. Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan are just fantastic together. Jackie Chan obviously is great in the action scenes. Chris Tucker is absolutely hilarious with the comedy. And yeah, I just enjoy them so much. The third movie is definitely a dip in quality, but I still enjoy it. But it's definitely nowhere near as strong as the first two. But I'm very glad to finally own them on Blu-ray. But that is the Rush Hour trilogy. Just a few more Blu-rays now, and the first one we have is another pickup from CEX, and it is Blue Valentine, starring Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams. And this is a fantastic drama, and it's basically about this couple at different points in their relationship. It has a non-linear structure. So when the movie starts, it shows them quite a few years into their relationship. They've got a daughter. They're maybe not in the best place. Their marriage is kind of on the rocks. But as the movie goes on, it then shifts back to when their relationship first started. And the movie is basically there to kind of demonstrate what relationships are like, and at what they are like at different points in time. Like when a relationship between a couple starts, it's normally very passionate and there's a lot of excitement to it. But as relationships go on, they can kind of deteriorate, or maybe that excitement and that passion kind of disappears. It's a really heartbreaking movie to watch, and the acting from the two leads is just awesome. And yeah, by the end of the movie, I was kind of left stunned by what I just watched. Yeah, it was, like I said, just a very heartbreaking movie. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, glad to have finally seen it. But that is Blue Valentine. Next up, we have another pickup from CEX, and we have Darkest Hour, starring Gary Oldman. This is, of course, the historical biographical drama about Winston Churchill and his time as Prime Minister, or at least the beginning of his tenure. And yeah, I enjoyed this one. These types of movies are not always my cup of tea. I can sometimes find them a bit dry, or they're maybe just like one-time watches for me. But this one I enjoyed. It took a lot of the political aspects of the story, and it did well to make it exciting for me. And yeah, I had a good time watching it. Gary Oldman was fantastic in the role, very unrecognizable at times, and the supporting cast were all great. And yeah, the story was, pretty solid, and I enjoyed it, and I can definitely see myself going back to this one. So yeah, that is Darkest Hour. Next up, we have another pickup from CEX, and we have Memphis Belle. Yeah, this is a movie that is based somewhat on a true story, although I do know large parts of this film are fictional. But it's about this crew of this bomber named the Memphis Belle, and they have to go on one last mission or one last raid into the heart of Germany during World War II before they can all pack up and go home. And yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I know it does have a lot of admirers. For me, as the film went on, I found myself losing interest a little bit, and I got a bit bored because most of the movie takes place inside this airplane. And I know that the movie, well, the goal was probably to show the mission from the perspective of the pilots and the crew on the plane. But as I said, as the movie went on, I found myself losing interest quite a lot. But it's still a very well-made movie. It's got a great cast in there, and yeah, it was pretty solid. It's just probably not one that I'm going to go back to anytime soon. But yeah, that is Memphis Belle. Next up, we have a brand new release from Eureka, and we have The Skyhawk. So yeah, this is a 1970s martial arts kung fu movie, and from what I've read about it, I believe it has never ever been released here in the UK in any sort of form, and I just think that's incredible. So I feel like for a lot of people in this country watching this, it will probably be a first-time watch for a lot of people. I went into this movie with a little bit of trepidation. I'd read some reviews, and a lot of people said it was just a very average martial arts movie, nothing special. But I watched this the other week, and I had an absolute blast with it. It's got a brisk runtime of 86 minutes. It's got plenty of fight scenes, action scenes, great stunts. It's got enjoyable protagonists, and it's got villains that you love to hate. It's got everything you could want from like a classic martial arts action movie. It's got a very early performance from Sammo Hung, who is just a legend in Hong Kong cinema. He's worked with Jackie Chan many times. He's a director himself. He's made so many classics from, Hong Kong. And yeah, it was just a brilliant film. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, if you love your sort of old school martial arts movies from the 70s, even Bruce Lee movies, it kind of felt a little bit like a Bruce Lee movie at times. But if you love that era of martial arts movies, definitely check out The Skyhawk. And finally, onto my last release from August 2023. This is a 4K. It's a brand new release. And this is a bit of an interesting one because I have never seen this type of release, get released in the UK. And it's Bloodsport, but this is in a media book form. So yeah, these media books are quite popular in places like Germany. I do actually have a few from there, but this is the first time I've seen one actually get released exclusively in the UK. I don't actually know who released this, so if you know, let me know in the comments. But I hope we do get more releases like this because I am quite a fan of these media books. The movie itself, Bloodsport, it's basically the movie that jump-started Jean-Claude Van Damme's career. And yeah, it's a fantastic movie, fantastic martial arts film. Yeah, it's just so much fun. Looks very good on 4K. It's a very sort of low budget 80s movie, so it's not gonna blow your socks off, but the quality is definitely top notch for a movie like this. And yeah, I just think it's a fantastic release. But yeah, that is Bloodsport on 4K. So there you go, guys. Those are my pickups for August 2023 and a few from July 2023. Let me know in the comments if you've seen any of these movies, if you've picked up any of these particular items. I would love to hear your thoughts. But I'll leave the video there. So thanks again for watching and take care.